Episode 3, When Money Became Proof of Faith.
Let's talk about something complicated: faith and money. It's a mix that's built empires, but it has also broken spirits. Today, we're going to dig into how giving went from this pure act of support to something else entirely, a system of leverage. And we're basing all of this on the source material we've been examining.
Yeah, this quote right here, it just nails it, doesn't it? It really makes you ask that tough question. Where is the line between spiritual guidance and, well, financial control? That's the exact tension we're going to pull apart today.
Okay, so to really understand just how much things have changed, we've got to go back to the very beginning. Let's look at the original model, the way Jesus and the first believers actually handled giving. And wow, when you put them side by side like this, the difference is just stark. On one side, you've got this approach rooted in compassion, in community. On the other, it's almost like a business deal, a spiritual transaction. The story of how we got from one to the other, well, that's what this is all about. So the source material points to 4 really clear things about how Jesus approached giving. First, it was voluntary. No pressure, no coercion. It was also quiet, not some big show to get applause. It was driven by pure compassion for someone's actual, real-life need. And maybe most importantly, it was totally detached from recognition. The focus was 100% on the person being helped, not on making the giver look good. Now, this right here is a huge deal because it's so different from a lot of what you might hear today. The message is crystal clear. Your bank account has zero to do with the strength of your faith. Jesus never taught that wealth was a reward for obedience or that being poor was some kind of spiritual punishment. And the first believers, they really lived this out. Giving wasn't about funding some big abstract institution. It was personal. It was relational. You were helping someone you actually knew. You saw their need with your own eyes. And that created this incredible, natural accountability within the community. So that begs the question, right? If that's where it all started, how on earth did we get to where we are today? Well, this next part is all about that shift, how giving slowly morphed from support into leverage. You can see the whole journey right here on this timeline. It starts with that personal, relational support in the early church. Then it shifts to funding bigger, more centralized institutions. And from there, in a lot of modern circles, it becomes this transactional leverage. Giving starts to be talked about like an investment you make to get a personal return from God. And that brings us to this key idea: transactional giving. What is it? It's basically when giving stops being a gift and starts being an exchange. The thinking is, I'm not just giving, I'm paying for a blessing or for protection. It sounds like a small change in mindset, but honestly, it changes absolutely everything. So how does this reframing even happen? It's all in the language. It's subtle, but it's so powerful. Suddenly, your money is a test of faith. Your donation is a seed for blessing. How much you give becomes proof of obedience. Do you see the pattern? Giving stops being about compassion and starts being about compliance and leverage. And the source material really puts a fine point on it with this line. It's incredibly powerful. Once giving becomes transactional, God is no longer worshipped. He is marketed. Okay, so that brings us to today. Let's look at some of the common patterns, the specific phrases you might hear that sound spiritual, but are really about pressure and control. Here's the first one, and it's a big one. The idea that if you give more, God blesses you more. It's like God is a divine vending machine, right? You put in enough money, you get a blessing out. It turns faith into a formula, and it's a very expensive one. And what happens if that formula doesn't work? Well, then the problem must be you. If you struggle financially, your faith is weak. The blame gets flipped right back onto the person who is already hurting. It's a devastating cycle of guilt. Then there's this one. If you question giving, you're rebellious. So asking for basic financial transparency, something that's just good stewardship, gets relabeled as rebellion. It's a tactic designed to shut down any and all questions. And the final lock on the cage, if you leave, you're robbing God. They take a personal decision about your own finances and turn it into this massive spiritual crime. The weight of that accusation is designed to keep you right where you are. So after hearing all of that pressure, all of that guilt, the source material gives us this one simple, incredibly liberating sentence. None of that comes from Jesus, period. And that truth opens the door to something huge: freedom. It's about giving yourself permission to walk away from any system that uses pressure and guilt to control you.
It's about taking back your own choices.
Think of this as a bill of rights for anyone who gives. You are not required to fund a system that has zero transparency. You don't have to support leaders who say they can't be questioned. And you absolutely do not have to buy into teachings that tie blessings to payments or that use pressure tactics. You are free. This is so important, especially if you're carrying any guilt around this. Walking away from financial manipulation is not walking away from faith. In fact, you could argue it's the opposite. It's choosing integrity. It's refusing to be part of something deceptive. And for anyone who has ever been made to feel shame over their struggles, please hear this. If you were ever told that your hardship was your fault, that you just didn't give enough or believe enough, that shame you're carrying is not from God. It's not. So where do we go from here? What do we do with this information? This last part is all about the practical side of things. How do we move from giving based on guilt to giving based on genuine conviction?
It really boils down to this one really honest question we have to ask ourselves. Have I ever given money out of fear? Hoping to avoid something bad or maybe earn some favor, instead of just giving out of love and conviction? It's not about the amount, it's about the motive.
And finally, the source gives us a really practical tool for this week. It's just 3 steps. First, just pause. Before you give, just take a breath. Second, ask yourself 3 simple questions. Is this voluntary? Is it transparent? Does this reflect Jesus? And step 3, if the answer to any of those is no, then you are totally free to step back. It's that simple. The freedom is yours.
Share it if it helped you. Subscribe if someone else needs it. We sow truth the way Jesus taught, not the way man demands.